I'm Blake Cordos, and this is my game pitch. What is this game and what is it about? Well, this game is an action-adventure game where you end up becoming the hero of the story to go traverse throughout far lands and face many enemies and save the princess, just like a hero should. The player explores through several dungeons, goes to caves and forests searching for new loot to help him on his journey. You must battle monsters and giant dungeon bosses that are hiding in every single area. And eventually, you'll find some NPCs that need some help. The hook of the game? Well, who wouldn't want to be a hero, especially as a kid? When I was a child, I always wanted to be a hero. Even now, I still do. So there's no reason why you still can't. What are the rules of the game, you might ask? Well, there's limited map space, which means that there's always a confined area that you could go in. You can't eventually just crawl up a side of a mountain, go through that. No, there's set paths that the player must follow. Another rule of the game would be that there's item usage slots, which means that you have to think of what items you're going to be using. The dungeons, you have to end up using certain items that you find throughout your journey to end up helping you complete through it. The player's goal is, well, to go and save the princess. That's what a hero needs to do. Protect the land, save the princess. The antagonizing force would be the forces of darkness. Pretty much just the monsters that are spawned everywhere. They are nothing but shadows from the deepest pits. And you must go and fight it yourself and eventually beat them all. What decisions does the player make? Well, the player gets to choose on what items they get to use along with the dungeon order. What I mean by this is that there is an order for which dungeons you go into next, but if the player wanted to, they could actually skip a dungeon or two. But that's not really recommended since you might miss out on some nice items. The theme of the game takes place in 1879 BC, during the time of where there's knights, fairies, elves, and obviously magic. But this takes place in an 8-bit world. When you play the game, you'll notice that it has a different camera angle than the rest. It has an up to down top view of the map. What that means is that pretty much you're staring at your character from the clouds, but not that high, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see him. The play possibilities that this game creates is hours of gameplay. And not just that, but it gives a learning experience for any people that actually play it. It makes them think about how to complete the dungeons, makes them think about how they're going to end up going and clearing an area, makes them think about what items to use, along with, it makes them strategize to figure it out. It also ends up helping them figure out how to answer all the riddles that are actually in the game. The risks, well, time and sales I honestly think is the most, because if you don't got many sales, it was a waste of time. But at the same time, you could put a little bit of time into a game and actually come out with pretty big sales. And I think the biggest risk in this would be the player commitment, because since there is a lot to do, and some of it can be a bit confusing at times, it would depend on how committed the player is to beating the game. Anyways, this is my pitch. I hope you enjoyed.